#1 shrimps, like little guys. I don't mean the mini like in a can. I don't mean sewer shrimp. But 2 steps up from a sewer shrimp and some not mussels, the scallops, which I love. Marinara sauce, $34.95. And 1 drink before dinner. 1 drink, I swear to God, that's 1 ounce of vodka, $11.95. I mean, it's crazy. And you wonder how do they survive in this country with the prices the way they are? Nevertheless, here we are. We're talking about a very serious topic, and we need a little levity mixed in. Mr. Gambino joins us at 34 minutes after the hour. Back in a minute.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
My Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com, the only company I trust to protect my wealth with gold and silver. Call 800-BUICO. Let's cut right to the story we're dealing with, which is we have there's no description for Obama other than it takes encyclopedias to describe what he's done to this country and the world. So let's put it that way. He's still downplaying the threat from the most... there's no words for them either. The things they do to people. You forgot already? You forgot already you're busy attacking Republicans and Donald Trump? You forgot what they just did last week in Mali and the week before in Paris? You forgot they took Jordanian pilots who were alive and put them in a cage, doused them with gasoline and set them on fire? That was worse to you. That was not as bad to you as what Donald Trump said to a Black Lives Matter thug sent in there by Al Sharpton. To you, you'd rather crucify Donald Trump than ISIS. You psychos, you left-wing losers. So because of the fanaticism of the American left, we the people are desperate to protect ourselves and our families. Now the trail on the terrorist in Paris, the massacre driver, the one who went to the gay nightclubs. Oh, you didn't read that little story? No, that's a little embarrassment. You didn't catch that over the weekend? Mr. Holiness? Mr. Holiness, they tell everyone else, oh, you're purist. They want purity. You can't wear a mini skirt. You can't do this. You can't do that. Meanwhile, he frequented gay bars. That's all. That didn't come out in the local newspaper because it's an embarrassing fact. Paris massacre driver eludes police in desperate manhunt across Europe. The trail of the world's most wanted man is getting colder after a flurry of raids in Brussels. That's a joke. And an international dragnet. Well, I wouldn't call it an international dragnet. I'd call it an international drag show, is what we're seeing. Yeah, the police in the whole world, they can't find this one guy. It's a whole drag show they got running there. But now we have the other side of the story. This gentleman who's going to be on the show shortly says that they're going to certainly protect New York because they know where to find them and they're going to protect the city. Now, the question is it just bravado? Can they really do it? What can they do that the FBI can't do? And we're asking you what you think of it, truthfully. Meanwhile, this you're not going to believe. This came out over the weekend. Okay, intentional misleading on ISIS rise. Top analysts told to, quote, cut it out and stop sending negative intelligence reports about how this country's failing against ISIS. Can you believe this? In other words, the so-called Pentagon cooked the books on the ISIS fight. And they were told by the girls who run the country in an email, cut it out. Cut it out. Don't be sending those things out. Pro-ISIS messages found at Ohio College. Okay? It's terrible. It's a terrible situation. And we're worried about offensive speech on campuses. You hear offensive speech is what should be our worry now in America. So what do you think about this idea? Joe on WABC in New York, do you like the idea or not like it?
Yeah, Mike, I don't like it. I don't like the idea of deputizing the underworld in a situation like this. I mean, is it going to elevate them to some sort of new nobility or new aristocracy? Are they mercenaries? Are they above the law? There's a lot of questions that go with this that I would need to have answered before we thought about it.
Well, you're raising very serious questions about a very serious issue, but the mere fact that I, on a national show, am even talking about it, means I take this very seriously because the government has failed us. And when a government fails the people become quite desperate for someone to protect them. Isn't that true, Joe?
That's right, and that's why, as a libertarian, we've been fighting for the Second Amendment, these gun-free zones like New York City, where people should be armed. And I would have rather see John Gambino turn around and say, why won't you arm the citizenry? Why won't you let them carry weapons anymore?
Well, it's not up to John Gambino to arm the citizenry. That's up to the lunatic mayor, the Sandinista-loving mayor of yours.
I know, but I'd rather see John Gambino just say, why don't you just arm the citizenry instead of coming to us? What could
Well, look, that's an interesting story because the average citizen wouldn't know what to do if you gave him a gun. You know that and I know that. Everyone's a tough guy on the internet that if I had been there, I would have done this, I would have done that. I'm for everyone who can use a gun using a gun. Don't get me wrong. But let's not fool ourselves. You have trained drug addicts with machine guns, machine gunning a crowd. I don't care if a guy had a gun in his pocket. He'd probably crap in his pants at the time of an attack like that or hurt himself with it. You know that and I know that.
Sure, but also we have to remember, because you hammered on this point so many times, when Obama said it, civilian force stronger than our military. Remember when he said that? Now just think what you're introducing to the country now. It's basically what we hammered Obama on 7 years ago. What was this civilian force stronger than our own military? What was he talking about? And now all of a sudden we're inviting the idea, which almost is hypocritical.
Boy, you're not saying that the criminals are going to be that force that you're talking about, are you?
I am suggesting that it could go awry.
So you're saying that they're working for Obama? I don't believe that at all. No, he was talking more about groups like the types that burnt Ferguson to the ground, that burnt Baltimore to the ground, the thugs on the campuses called Black Lives Matter. Those are his, that's his army. That's the army he's using right now to intimidate the middle class, in my opinion, Joe. I'm sending you a copy of the only book you need this year, which is Government Zero. Here's another story for you. A firefighter who flunked the physical many times, but had to be passed because she was black. Okay, she finally got her job as a firefighter. 10 days after the job, she went out on disability. Permanent disability. She hurt her leg jumping off a fire truck. I swear to God, this is affirmative action at work. Isn't America great under Al Sharpton?
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
All right, welcome back. These are very strange times. So I go on the Drudge Report. I see an article link from RT, and it says that gangs of New York, Sicilian Mafia offers Big Apple protection from psychopathic ISIS. I said, that makes sense to me. And we have with us now is the gentleman who gave the interview, Giovanni Gambino. Mr. Gambino, welcome to the Savage Nation. How are you?
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Who knows? If I knew how I was, I wouldn't be on the radio. But look, here's the thing, Mr. Gambino, this is a very serious topic, as you know. I don't have to tell you how serious this is. People are frightened. They don't think the government's going to protect them. How would you do differently than what the government is doing?
Michael, if you remember back then, you had Saddam Hussein, and he had a big painting of the Godfather, Don Vito, in his house. I think it was about $500,000 painting that he had. So there's a lot of people out there that look upon the movies like The Godfather, Goodfellas. There's a lot of fanatics out there. So I figure let's send a good message out there that we are in the world citizens' side to fight this evil, this brutal evil. So,
no, I understand you're sending the message, but can you do the job is what we're asking. This is not, these people are subhuman. They're not humans. They're lower than animals, putting people on fire in cages. And what I happen to fear the most is that this government is so warped, I'm sorry to have to say it, that they probably go after you and your friends faster than ISIS. That's what really worries me.
Oh, yes, you're correct. ISIS don't look at nobody in the face when they blow themselves up. It could be your mother, your father, your sisters, your brothers. It could be anybody. That's why we need to stand up together, all together, to fight this monster. Fight it. And now, I remember back in the days, Italian neighborhoods, Sicilian neighborhoods, everybody was outside drinking coffee. Kids were playing outside, doing their thing. And when you see a stranger walking down the block, they wanted to know, who's this guy? Who's his mother? Who's his father? Who's his grandmother? Who's his grandfather? But those times, unfortunately, they
Of course, that's right. I understand very well. But now today, if you do it, they say it's profiling and racism. That's the only thing that can save us is using common sense. Now, I want to ask you a question. Are your friends getting involved because they see a void that needs to be filled from this government's not taking action? Isn't that the real reason, Giovanni?
Yes, absolutely. Now, the thing is, if there is somebody that's pointing fingers as somebody who's part of ISIS or he got brainwashed by them with the internet, because the internet is the number one cause of all this. I mean, these people are reaching people from everywhere through the internet, brainwashing them. So if they do find out, and if I find out there is a guy that is thinking about a nice beating, I mean a beating like never before, like he never got before, that helps. We don't wait.
Well, it's interesting. Do you know that about 6 months ago, an Italian police captain in Boston, his Italian son was an ISIS sympathizer because of the internet? Did you read that story?
No, I'm glad I didn't read that story, because that turns my stomach.
That's what I'm saying. Italian police captain, I forget the city, in Lynn, Massachusetts, I think. His own son got brainwashed by them. So, it could happen to anyone in anyone's family because of the drug use and whatnot. Now, you just said something that, of course, we know we'd love to see. But here's what worries me, Giovanni, again, which is this. If you and your friends actually find someone who wants to do harm to the neighborhood, and you intervene and you take care of business in the old school method, and I know the government will crack down on you faster than on them. They'll say you actually committed a crime when they really didn't even do anything yet. They were just chatting on the internet. You're probably aware of that. I mean, you're putting yourself in pretty big danger with this.
1,000,000%. And that's the thing. When the Twin Towers went down, you had everybody from Bay Ridge, from Brooklyn celebrating on the streets, and just the cops were protecting them.
Well, you're talking about the Arabs cheering the one when Trump said that they saw that, and now the media is saying they didn't? You saw it with your own eyes in Bay Ridge, didn't you?
I saw my own eyes in Bay Ridge. I lived in Bay Ridge. I saw it with my own eyes, yes. And the cops were just protecting them from...
And who was cheering? Who was cheering when the Trade Center went down? I mean, what people were they?
It's in Bay Ridge. You got the majority are Muslims, the majority. So some of them were satanic.
I hope you're hitting the censor button. Yeah, we got to get the F words. We got to take out. This is a family show. Giovanni, I want to ask you something. You said in the article that in Sicily, you come from Torretta. Is that true?
Palermo. I was born in Palermo, Sicily. Yes.
Okay. You say that the Islamic State fears the Sicilian mafia, and it's one of the main reasons why they have not tried to set up any underground cells in Sicily, and that the Italian island has not suffered from any terrorist attacks. That's true, 100% true. Isn't that true?
Michael, that's 1,000,000% true, because before these guys are going to blow up a coffee shop or something in Sicily, these guys have their mothers living there, their fathers living there, their sisters living there, and there's no government that could protect their mother, their father, or their sister. There's no government that could protect that from that. The Sicilians would take action right away, and they know that. That's why they don't do it.
Unbelievable. Well, I got a sweat going right now, because I know what you're saying is very serious. This is not for entertainment value. But speaking about entertainment value, it said in this article in RT, you saw the article, that you yourself are somewhat into Hollywood now. Is that true?
Yeah, I wrote a book, and it's just recently published. It's called The Vindicators. It tells you how the mafia was born back in the 1300s. How, the origin of the mafia, it tells you, the 1300s. And it's like Game of Thrones meets The Godfather. And it's based on a true story. Wow. The Vindicators is based on the true story. And right now, me and Lance Lane, we're trying to write the script. And Lance Lane is a writer and director over there in L.A. And we're trying to write the script about how the mafia was back in the 1300s, how it was born. And that was born to protect the innocent people, protect the Sicilian from the oppressors that Sicily had for many, many, many years.
And the government was the oppressors, the invading government. The invaders will set up a government, right?
1,000,000%. The French rulers who conquered Sicily, they were the oppressors, and they could care less about the citizen, the Sicilian citizen. They could care less about them. It was everything
unbelievable.
French. So
I once said that to a Sicilian a guy I knew. He was a very tall guy in New York, and we were talking, and he was very tall. I mean, and people think that people have to be short if they're from Sicily. So I said, you got your tall genes from the Arabs who invaded Sicily. He got very mad.